Right spot counts down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. After a short amount of stream delay, we too will be able
see
to
a
shout
Mega
go.
Man by Prisiii, Rockman by Becco. Doesn't really matter for Mega Man 1. But, these points matter. So Prisiii with 100,000, Becco with 50,000. So since every extra 1,000 is a frame, that's actually 50 frames lost by Prisiii. So actually, if he loses,
it's almost a second.
Yeah,
just gone.
He does if he gets 100,000 for every stage, and Becco gets 50. It's like 5 seconds right there.
One of the weirdest sources of RNG in any Mega Man game is the random score bonus you get in Mega Man 1.
Points, very, very useless in Mega Man and pretty much any game here. It actually looks like Prisiii missing the corner jump there.
Yep.
And Becco didn't even go for it, so Becco's saving a little bit of time on Prisiii.
Yeah, it comes out ahead there. Those corner jumps really hard in Mega Man 1. Players have a major decision to make in a Lek-Man stage regarding a corner jump that we'll get to pretty shortly, hopefully, as players make no significant errors on their way through Cut-Man stage here. Not too much to worry about. Mostly it's all about the short time savers, how well you select glitch past these enemies to cancel out your damage boost, and things like grabbing the ladder for as few frames as possible and moving as soon as you snap back on top of it.
Yep. As we see both of these players kind of in sync, they're both in pretty much the same screens at the same time. We'll see if these big eyes give them good jumping, and it looks like both of them actually do get high jumps off the big eye, so health will not be a concern here. Cut fight, very straightforward fight. While you just see them go through it without any issues as well.
Yeah, nice to have a little bit of extra health, because some of the optimal ways to fight Cutman involve taking a hit here or there to make sure that you're absolutely on top of keeping him in his iframes.
Yeah, pretty much like this. I think the second to last hit, we'll see both of them get hit here. Yeah.
And there it is, as predicted. No problems. It's really, I don't want to say easy, but it's so much easier in Mega Man 1 to keep bosses in iframes than in some of the other Mega Man games, because your bullets pass through the Robot Master. So as long as your bullet is somewhere inside his hitbox when those invincibility frames wear off, it gives you a wide enough window that you can actually somewhat reliably get basically a perfect boss fight.
Yep. So with Prisiii getting 100,000 points here and Becco getting 80, that just rounds out to between the first two stages pretty much a second of time save for Becco. So not too shabby.
He'll take it for sure.
Yeah. So his PB is actually a couple minutes behind Prisii's, so he's definitely going to be able, or going to want to take the time saves where he can.
So Becco's going right here, opting not to do the corner jump. Prisiii setting up to go left. We'll see if he gets it. We saw him have a bit of trouble with it in Cutman stage. Gets it first try, of course. In a Lek-Man stage, when it really matters, about a 14-second penalty for falling there. He's going to be really happy about that, and he's actually taking the lead here.
Yeah, as we kind of saw on the screens there, Becco was just ever so slightly ahead, or they were tied, and you can kind of see how he's a little bit further behind now after not opting for that corner jump. So it's just like small optimizations like these, throughout each of these 6 games that, each of these players are going to try to capitalize on and, hopefully edge out just a little bit of a lead over their opponents by the time they get to the end of Mega Man 6.
Oh, fantastic beam grabs from both players. Exiting out the bottom, so not absolutely perfect, but almost first try, I think, getting the glitch on the ladder to initiate the zip into the wall. That is a very, very tricky thing to do, so both players looking fantastic here.
Yep, Prisiii, the room right before this kind of single block room here, he kind of messed up a little bit. Gave Becco a little bit of extra time save on him because he had to wait for a beam cycle because he messed up the placement of one. But yeah, overall, you know, we'll see.
They are pretty much in sync with each other heading into this. The Lekman climb, a lot of different ways you can approach this room depending on how aggressive you want to be, and that is why a lot of players don't opt to go on the fastest possible route, because it is very, very easy to slip up and fall, and now you've got less magnet beams to climb the rest of the thing, and it can get out of control pretty quickly. So both players managing to recover and get into the boss room, still very close between these two.
Yeah, pretty much with those falls, they kind of washed out, and so, you know, the lead that Prisiii had over the corner jump is still kind of just maintained here in the Lekman stage. As they move on to ice, we'll see some interesting zip action here from both of these players.
We saw Becco opting to practice Iceman while we were getting warmed up. Lux out with the 50,000.
Yep, with Iceman zip, or as with any zip in this game, it's pixel perfect, so kind of have to place your beam at the exact right spot. So we'll see how both of these players do. Prisiii, as you can see, kind of setting up a beam right underneath the numbers. Becco also setting it up right there as well.
Nice job. Unfortunately, you can't sort of maintain that height. You have to find it again here. Looks like Becco's got it. Prisiii, I think, has it, but he needs to land on that other beam. Wow, manages to time his planting of the beam between when that one ran out and the other one was still there. So he has just enough beam to make it to this refill.
Yeah, unfortunately, Prisiii actually spent a few extra beams to get his first zip correct. So he had to kind of stay on the floaty platforms there a little bit longer, and those actually have just random movement. So you know, it's kind of hard to make sure that you get it across all of them, but he does manage it. So we'll see both players go into the boss fight now, with Becco retaking the lead here. This very difficult stage.
Yeah, much worse things could have happened to Prisiii. I'm sure he's going to be happy simply to get across that big gap with the moving platforms. You have to make some decisions on the fly when you try to go for that wrap, because you've only got so much magnet beam, and if you run out trying to get the trick, then you have to do the Yoku block sections without any beams at all. Very slow. But at the same time, if you get that wrap, then you don't need to use those magnet beams in the Yoku section, and it's very fast, so it's very tempting to keep going and try to find that pixel and do it. So you need to make a decision very quickly as to how long you spend, how much ammo you spend trying to get that zip.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Prisiii went down to the wire, basically, on the very last beam. He gets it, clutches it out, and he's keeping pace with Becco just a little bit here through Fireman stage.
Yeah. Yep, so here we see Prisiii trying to set up for this zip, or this screen wrap, rather, into zip. So Becco opted not to do it, kind of just opting to go for the very safe zip earlier. But we'll see both of them go for the ever-famous fire zip here. This is kind of the one in the game that's known to kill, because if you mess it up, you die. The other ones, you kind of will fall into, you know, a platform that you can land on, but this one's kind of one of the more dangerous ones. But both players look like they get through it very cleanly. And going into the fight now.
Becco's perhaps a little better. You can choose kind of when to exit the zip. You don't want to overzip. There's a gap.
Prisiii got a nice corridor zip there, too.
Ooh, yeah, the corridor zip there is going to make up for
that saved a few seconds, yeah.
Those corridor zips are pretty hard, especially when the turrets are shooting at you. And there's not too many chances where you have enough magnet beam to play around with it in a corridor like that. So when you've got it, doesn't really cost any time to go for it. Maybe a tiny bit if you feel like you got it and then you didn't. But you'll see these guys trying to find that magic pixel. in the corridors and going for those couple second time savers. No problems with the bosses. Once again, Mega Man 1's select glitch allows you to make short work of pretty much every boss. Fireman's capable of actually throwing out quite a bit of projectiles during the fight, so if you go in really low on health, you might actually be a bit of a problem, but such was not the case for these players. Fireman's down, moving on to Bomb Man stage. Big Zip coming up, and different ways to initiate it. And we're seeing kind of two different mindsets from these players. Prisiii very aggressive, going for all the little things. Becco opting to play it safe in a number of situations. So
yeah, Becco gonna be he did the Fireman zip on the ladder, which is something you can also do in the Bomb Man's zip. But we've actually seen Prisiii go for just on the right side as he jumps up and just finds the correct pixel, similar to the Iceman zip. So we can kind of see the time save here from Prisiii.
Yep. Already passed through the zip.
And also, even before in the checkpoint room, Prisiii got a nice small zip as well, kind of just throughout the end of that room. So he saved, overall a few seconds in this stage, which is very important.
These seconds are going to add up all over the place. I won't be surprised if the entire match is decided by just a couple seconds. So managing to grab as many as he did in a single stage there is looking really good for Prisiii. Both players have one Robot Master left in Mega Man 1. Prisii's got to be thinking about this a little bit. One of his biggest time losses in his race against Fast at CC to put him down here in the
his death and
bronze medal match was a death right early on.
Right here.
In Guts Man stage.
Pretty much on these floaty platforms. Yeah.
Whoop.
Luckily, he makes it through this time.
Actually gets a zip out of it, too. Both players across that section.
Yeah, Prisiii with a very nice screen wrap there at the end. Just even saving just a little bit of time over, having to fall down and kind of go through those little blocks there. Becco with the nice screen wrap as well. Both players doing very well. We'll see if any of them get any corridor zips here. Prisiii getting 2. Wow, that was insane.
He grabbed the magnet beam refill on the way down in that falling section, and I was like, is that really worth it? And then to use that tiny little bit of ammo for 2 corridor zips is worth it in spades. Nice job, Prisiii. Finishes it off with the ass grab. That's Mega Man 1 down in about 12:49 for him. Just seconds behind is Becco. Looking to get this kill. Gutsman playing nice and staying still. And finishing about 12 seconds behind Prisiii heading in to Mega Man 2. Still pretty close. Lots can happen.
Yep, especially as we see both players kind of opting to go for these different routes here. Because, so, briefly mentioned earlier that Prisii's going for Rockman, Becco's going for Mega Man. It's kind of funny because Prisiii, the Western runner, and Becco being the Japanese runner, but he's playing the English game, while Prisiii is playing the Japanese game. It kind of just is a testament to kind of how comfortable they are, with their Mega Man 2s. Becco maybe not as comfortable, whereas Prisiii, very comfortable with his boss fights.
Right. To back up a bit and explain the difference between the two versions, Mega Man 2 has normal mode and difficult mode. Difficult mode is basically what Rockman 2 always is. That's just Rockman 2. So why play on the one that doesn't let you play on normal? Faster text, as is usually the case with Japanese versions of games. So I want to take a break to point out Prisii's Flashman fight is so pretty, but he just missed that one shot. So he does get flashed at the end there. Still, overall, a pretty good fight. Prisiii has a very unique way of fighting Flashman that's always a treat to watch. But yes, basically the trade-off, enemies have double health, but you save a ton of time in weapon get cutscenes. You can see how much easier it is to fight bosses. What with Becco's Flashman fight, killed before he even touches you.
You have 7 hits as opposed to 14 hits, so very, very fast fights for Mega Man 2 runners.
It makes a bigger difference on Flashman than you'd think. In 7 hits, you can kill him before he touches you. 14, you need to figure out how to get past him, and then keep putting distance between you while also turning around and landing more shots. So it becomes a much, much more technical fight on Rockman 2.
Yeah, but so we can kind of see how long Becco is in this weapon get screen for. But actually, he's only going to be going through kind of the length of that is when you get your special items, your item 1, 2, and 3. So we're actually only going to see 2 of those from Becco. This is going to be a kind of route divergence after this stage that we only see in 46 Robot Masters pretty much, because since you finish a game, when you kill your 8th Robot Master, if there's a weapon get in it, you don't have to sit through it, because it's just on the last hit of the Robot Master. So we're going to see Becco go for Air Last, which is a strat that was found by, I think, Baron Haynes. And it's a very interesting strat, and you play Mega Man 2 normal, but you save that 40 seconds or whatever by going through the entire 8 robots without item 2. It ends up saving, I think, overall 10 seconds, just due to the fact that, you don't get to use your item 2. But definitely an interesting strategy that you kind of only get to see in this category.
Yeah, and I think it's still worth it if you're absolutely perfect to play on Rockman, and you're sort of disincentivized to do that route because the cutscenes are shorter, so you're not saving as much time by skipping a weapon get cutscene. However, just due to the nature of all the cutscenes being slower, it is overall about 13 seconds faster than a Mega Man 2 route. So I think you're still 3 seconds ahead of this unique route, this air last route. But it's real easy to lose 3 seconds due to the increased difficulty of the game. So we'll see what Prisiii can do.
Yeah, and so we see Prisiii kind of finishing up that fight, but actually Prisiii, so if anyone was paying close attention, you got a really good pattern, because Heatman can give you like a pattern of 30, 60, or 90 frames with his kind of flame up. And Prisiii got a lot of 30s and 60s, which is, for Rockman 2, that's definitely something that you want, because this is kind of one of the sources of RNG in the Rockman 2 route, is that you can lose a lot of time since you have to get those 14 hits in, but luckily he got very, very solid pattern from Heatman.
We'll see what he can do in Airman stage. We're not going to see it until a little bit from Becco, but Prisii's in, and that means we're going to see some fast air. This is why we did Heat before air. We wanted these item 1s for this section here. Very tricky strategy. Damage boosting off of these lightning lords. The death here is really bad. You lose your flash, you lose your item 1 ammo. Gets the corner jump at the end.
We've seen some people just intentionally game over in this tournament after messing up fast air because they were kind of having a death. Losing all that item energy is very detrimental. But Prisiii obviously having no problem here, very experienced in this game.
Doing pretty good on health. We'll see what kind of decisions he makes with regard to health
big
pickups.
Health drop there.
Doesn't want it.
Go for it. Yeah.
He might take a small one. I don't know. Nope.
Yeah, we'll see how he does in this boss fight.
Meanwhile, Becco has been having a great Crash Man stage, executing on the zip, death warping, and getting into the crash climb here. Very technical part of this stage, and really the entire run.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to place these item 3s such that you can jump off the screen while you're jumping off of the item 3. That way you get a little bit of a vertical boost as you enter the next screen. As you can see, Becco kind of just going up that ladder there. Kind of not really zipping up it, but you know, you kind of just skip a little bit of climbing section that you don't have to do. And we'll see that on Prisii's screen as he goes into the stage next as well. So just keep that in mind. It's a very precise movement.
Yeah, he finishes up Airman pretty good. Airman only just started to move back across the screen after his 3 patterns. Get to see the Crashman Buster fight, pretty rare. And actually he becomes a very, very tricky boss fight, even in Mega Man 2 with the half health. Trying to avoid his bombs while also landing the hits on him while he jumps up and down so high.
So
very tricky. Prissy, oh, does he? I think he got it.
He gets Biggie.
Nice. That is a much, much more complicated way to initiate the Crashman zip. That is just a little bit faster, honestly. But
yep, you only have to. Oh, sorry. You only have to stay on the first screen. You don't have to go on the second screen. So it's a lot faster.
I'm always impressed when players are not able, not only go for it in a race, but also nail it. Just that level of play. When you've done it enough times, even the really, really tricky stuff becomes consistent enough that it becomes worth it to go for it, even in a race setting.
Yep. Now for Becco going into Quickman here, the Quickman zip. First one, relatively simple, and we will see if he goes for the second one. The second one is a lot more dangerous. There's a chance you can soft lock there. But we will see.
Prisii's climb looked real smooth. And no trouble with the quick beams here from Becco.
Yep. In Rockman 2, 2 hits is the ideal.
So he's going for it. Iceman, ooh, yep, that placement was pretty close, but it is good enough to initiate the zip. Wiggling like crazy.
Very careful at the end of the corridor here. He stopped his zip relatively early just to make sure that he didn't over-zip, which is the way that you can soft lock the game.
Quickman giving him the short jump pattern. If he was feeling brave, he could have thrown out a Crash Bomb at him right there, but if you miss with the Crash Bomb, especially shooting all the way across the screen to the right, pretty disastrous. You're unable to shoot again until it blows up, and it's not going to hit Quickman at all if it's all the way on the other side of the room. So he holds onto it, fires to the left, ends up getting a pretty good fight after that anyway. So he's done with Quickman as Prissii enters the stage. He's got his item 1s out. He's going for his zip.
Yep. So as Becco here goes into Metal Man stage, so his Quickman stage is actually a gold, so very nice by Becco, being able to get a gold in a very difficult stage with 2 zips like that. We'll see if Prissii coming down now. We'll see if he switches to item 1 to go for the second zip as well.
I expect he will. He kept the lights on. He's not the kind of person to let a zip go unzipped. So here he is, going for it.
Setting up for it, also making sure that he kind of stops a little bit early there, and he does get it, so very nicely by him.
Becco is... Oh, he doesn't have the item 2, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so all these stages, you lose a few seconds from not having your item 2s, and so the bulk of the time save is through the weapon gap.
Ooh, Prissii having some very accurate shots on a very quick-moving Quickman.
Yep.
Could have been real bad if any of those shots missed, but all of them hit. Nice job.
Yep, in Rockman 2, it's ammo precise, so you have to get all your hits, otherwise you kind of have to let a Crash Bomb up on the side of the screen and make sure Quickman jumps into it.
Metal Man down, no problem. Not one of the boss fights that's a runner's worried about at all in this game. Basically, you can manipulate Metal Man's AI by holding the fire button with the quick boomerangs out. The trigger for him to start doing anything is to actually press that B button, so as long as you're auto-firing as you walk in with the button held down, he's not going to do anything. You also have to be worried. You have to be careful not to cross the halfway point of the stage, because then he will also activate that way and start jumping around. So as long as you just stay on that first half of the screen, hold down the B button, he goes down, no problem. So Woodman stage is happening. We're getting a 3-dog flash, not quite enough zip from Becco to make it past the 3rd dog, so he's going to switch to Metal Blades, chew that down.
The 2nd dog screen, if you don't get that full zip there, you're actually not going to have enough energy to make it past the 3rd dog. So Becco, realizing that, having to switch to metal there very briefly before he does his good wood here.
One of the most complicated looking zips, to be sure. I think it might be fair to say it's one of the most complicated zips in the game.
Oh, for sure.
Gets the scary part there of pausing to extend the zip to the ladder that he just grabbed. Now that he's through that, he's pretty much home free. Just don't overzip at the end here. No problem. That's good wood.
Yep, and so we'll see Becco switch to heat here. When Prisiii goes through Woodman fight, he's going to switch to air. Oh, actually, Prisiii going for getting item 1 here, setting up for the zips here across these 3 screens.
Yep, these are faster, but very risky. You want to make sure you hit the transitions on all of them, and it looks like you did. It's possible to end up in a forced death situation on a couple of those screens. Start of Bubble Man stage for Becco.
Wonderful bitrate waterfall here, making streams look bad ever since people started streaming Mega Man 2.
Does a really good job of dealing with those frogs, despite the lack of item 2. Just bustering them down. Prisiii also gets the good wood. He's going to be going for air in this boss fight. Heatman's weapon will one-shot him in Mega Man 2, but Rockman 2 it does not. So it ends up being faster to just switch to Airman's weapon and does a decent amount of damage if you can shoot through the shield. You got to kind of jam it in there a little bit.
Yeah, really precise timing there that has to be done for that.
Didn't catch what team Becco is on, A trigger, B trigger.
I believe he is on Team A trigger. Prisiii, however,
B trigger.
Yep.
Team captain.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it starts off with an item 2 that he does have over his opponent. So very tricky to move in the way he did there to make sure you don't get knocked off by those frogs. You want Bubble Man down for Becco. He still has Airman stage. So I think he's going to end up being a little bit behind Prisiii here.
Yep. Since this is Prisii's last Robot Master, Becco's second to last. It's going to be losing maybe a minute and a half here to Prisiii overall.
And he wasn't really making many mistakes, really. I think it's just Prisiii is... Prisii's going for the faster route and executing wonderfully on pretty much all of it.
Yeah, so like we were saying earlier, with some of these very tricky, kind of tricky zips, you know, Prisiii kind of went for all of them and got all of them. So, you know, that's just something that kind of separates, you know, the good runners in this category from the great ones. So, you know, just taking a small lead here. Very nice.
There it is, Bubble Man down. First 2 Mega Mens completed in about a 29:08 or so. He's moving on to Mega Man 3. He's going to be starting with Top Man. This is the most challenging but overall fastest route. Starting with Top Man tests a lot of your Mega Man abilities. Mashing, one of them for sure. There's a lot of mashing to be done in Top Man stage without the magnets or any of the other weapons to help you out. So we'll see Prisii's pretty top tier mashing ability come into play.
I see what you did there. But yeah, so these cats in Top Man stage, known for being very pesky. You gotta get 10 shots into them to kill them. So we see Prisiii, you know, with a nice 2 jump there. That's kind of the minimum number of jumps that you can do. But it's very difficult to do for most runners. Meanwhile, we see Becco here finishing up Mega Man 2, and actually, this is another route divergence. You know, 2 and 3 kind of known for their different routes you can take. Often go for Magnet first, which is a safer route. You get Magnet early, which is a very powerful weapon, but does lose like 5 or so seconds over an ideal top first route.
Prisiii was looking really brave on a lot of these top jumps, but on the one where you need to be bravest right at the very end, he did decide to wait it out and make sure nothing awful happened to him. I think it's probably the smart thing to do, although I will say it's an un-Prisiii-like thing to do. If there's something he can do to save time, Prisii's probably going to go for it.
Yeah.
And if it's really, really hard and maybe not worth it, he's just going to practice it that much more.
Yep, so Becco here going through the Yoku block section. It's kind of like the one drawback where you lose time in Magnet first, as you can't use Rush Jet over it, since you're going to Magnet first.
Prisiii going into Shadow Man stage 2nd. This is another one of the challenging aspects of this route, coming to Shadow Man, mostly without the Magnet weapon again, to get you through the parachute section. So we'll see Prisiii have to make do with Top Man. It's possible to get through there very quickly, but we'll see. We got a Magnet Man fight here from Becco. He's low on life, so he does not have the health to run into him to cancel his Magnet shield attack. So at this point, he's kind of hoping for the slower jumping attack, because it is a little faster than an uncancelled shield.
Prisiii going for top slides here.
Here we go.
So Prisiii got the first top slide, so you can actually slide here and kind of go underneath a few of the parachute enemies, kind of killing every other one. But Prisiii, knowing that he missed the second one, decided to go for the wiggle strat, which is just a little bit safer, losing a little bit of time, but make sure that he doesn't die in that section, which is kind of it's kind of what he wants, is to make sure he doesn't die there.
And he does not die. He almost burns off too much of his top spin energy inside Shadow Man's hitbox while he has his invincibility frames, but he leaves himself just enough to finish the fight. So he is done with Shadow Man, very happy to be done with that stage, I'm sure. And while Becco is into Hardman, he gets to enjoy the magnets on the B enemies early on, and having a bit of trouble gets up that ladder.
Yeah, those monkeys are a little bit pesky. Very difficult to go by without mashing them down again. You know, mashing those monkeys down takes off a lot.
So the trials of the top first route continue with a Gemini Man stage. Also, no magnets here to help you out. So you need to be very careful about how you place your shots on the screen to deal with these fire turret enemies, and mashing down the penguins as fast as you can while still trying to slide as much as you can. It's a very involved screen. It goes pretty well there for Prisiii, and he tops it off with the zip here early on in Gemini Man stage.
Yeah, so that zip, the way it works is if you get hit while you're sliding, if the tadpole is, far enough to the left such that you get hit while you don't land on the ground, you get a free zip there. So very nicely done by Prisiii. It's pretty pretty precise zip that you had to do there, but he does it very well.
Gemini Man stage, still quite scary with this one tile block section, the water, the lag from all the enemies. He is sliding on a lot of these blocks, and he is making it look easy. Skipping the E-tank as well. Prisii's going all out here.
Yeah, Prisiii right now actually ahead of his splits, obviously due to the Gutsman, but just a very solid execution thus far. And he is on very good pace right now, so he definitely just wants to save as much time as possible, not just for this race, but, you know, maybe he's going for that fasta bop. Trying to go for the world record here as well.
Even when he's not directly competing against Fast, he is competing against Fast. Prisiii and Fast have a well-known friendly rivalry that's been going on for I'm not sure how long, but it's definitely drives the two of them to push things just a little bit more. Yeah. Always fun to see.
Also, he's 2 seconds behind Nero's time as well, so, you know, if he can get a PB here, you know, he'd be bopping Nero as well.
So he's going to move on to Needle, but we get to see Becco make his way through Top Man stage here with the magnets, having a much easier time in a lot of these sections.
Yep, instead of 10 hits, it takes 5 magnets to kill the cats, which is very nice to kind of just save yourself a little time. Ooh, Prisiii here in Needle stage, unfortunately getting a lag laser in the screen. Hopefully he doesn't get it during the boss. The boss fight is a lot more detrimental if you get a laser like that.
Unable to fire again, unable to switch weapons. I think the missed Gemini laser is a thing of it's a thing of pain to have happen to you. A thing of I think it has a sort of gentle beauty to it as it bounces around the stage gracefully, avoiding all the enemies you want it to hit.
Gives you ample time to relax and
appreciate what's happening. Yeah,
appreciate how much time you're losing. Meanwhile, Becco here going through the kind of one of the most mash and slide heavy screens in the entire game. Known to be Fasta's favorite screen in the game. This dark here in Shadow Man.
There's
lots of precise shots, a lot of sliding to get the optimal movement in this screen.
A lot of players are tempted to cut out slides on a lot of these surfaces and just focus on the jumps and placing the shots and where they need to be. But the truly great players won't let that stop them from throwing in tiny little slides here and there. Here's the magnets making short work of these parachute enemies, not even getting any drops to worry about. Oh, no, he gets one at the end there, but it's okay. He's already well at the top of his jump. Doesn't need to worry about a missed input or anything. He's going to be moving on to the boss fight, as Prisiii is finally here in Magnet Man stage, and now something is finally easier for him than it was for his opponent here in Mega Man 3. He's got the Rush Jet, he's skipping the Yoku blocks.
Yeah, Rush Jet, just a very, very useful for getting past this section, just due to the fact that you don't have to wait at all for those blocks. As Becco finishes up Shadow Man, he's about, like about 3/4 of a stage behind Prisiii right now. So we'll see if he's able to catch up just a little bit throughout these next few Robot Masters. Eventually they will be kind of lining up their routes with the last 2 Robot Masters in Snake and Spark, but right now it's still kind of anyone's race here.
Prisiii with an absolutely fantastic Magnet Man fight, managing to stay kind of literally on top of him the whole way. Wow, a bit of trouble there for Becco and Gemini Man stage, but he does not fall into that pit. He's going to keep going. And now he's going to bust out the magnets. He has somewhat limited ammo on the magnet weapon. It's one of the reasons it's not totally overpowered. So you need to kind of choose when you're going to switch to it. Here in Gemini Man stage, he's made his decision. Shoots out one of those eggs he doesn't want to shoot, so now he's being very careful to not have to shoot out a whole row he doesn't want to. I think he's got the zip here. He does.
Yeah, very nicely done by Becco. Kind of, you know, having a little error in that first tadpole section, but getting the zip is very nice. Meanwhile, Prisiii doing a very good job here, mashing down this first gorilla. That's kind of where we saw Becco have a little bit of issues, so, you know, Prisiii gaining a little bit of time over Becco in that regard.
Becco not opting for Rush Marine here and going down for the weapon energy. I think
he might have fallen down by accident or something.
Something that really makes sense there. He knew he was going to be in trouble if he went for it. So a lot of players are they work on identifying when this section of the stage has gotten the better of them. They position themselves in such a way that getting hit will not knock them off, and they just wait for it, take the hit, and then keep going. So still alive heading into the Gemini Man fight. He's got the Shadow Blade, so no problem. Wow, he is. I said no problem, but maybe a bit of a problem. But at the end of the day, he solves it.
Really scary, though.
We got Prisiii having a hard man fight. Gets pretty much the ideal fight there. It's kind of tricky to squeeze in those last few magnet shots. So both players looking really good. About halfway through this Mega Man 46 Robot Masters race. A little less than halfway through.
Yep, as we see here. Prisiii now in Snake Man. So we can kind of see just as Becca goes through Needle, this is how far he is behind, because Becca's next stage is going to be Snake Man. So, you know, Prisiii kind of just keeping around the same lead that he's had kind of throughout the end of Mega Man 2 into this entire game. So, you know, doing a very good job at kind of maintaining his lead. Hopefully going to be trying to extend that as well. Kind of Prisiii wants to make sure he maintains the lead through Mega Man 5, because Becco's you know, probably going to gain a little bit of a lead there, as that is kind of a game that he is most practiced in, has the world record in, and is all around comfortable in playing.
Going with the rebound shots on Needleman. Very calculated moves. So he's going to be fine here. Cleaning up Needleman. Prisiii quite a ways into Snake Man stage.
Yep,
Prisiii
basically getting to the end of the stage, while Becco is going to be kind of just starting it up. So,
yep, earned himself a pretty significant lead here. Jumping off the top of the screen here on Rest Jet to preserve Rest Jet ammo, and also just getting Mega Man Sprite off the screen helps reduce lag. See what kind of Snake Man fight he can get.
Nice fight by Prisiii, making sure he lands on the middle platform there. So you can't actually move after you kill a boss in Mega Man 3, but he still has to go to the middle of the screen to warp out. So kind of this stage, and you don't really see it in 8 Robot Masters, but Sparkman as well, with kind of non-flat stages, or non-flat boss battles. You kind of want to make sure that you're in the middle for those, to make sure that you don't have to wait for Mega Man to do a jumping animation after you already killed the boss.
Apologies to people asking about some of the recent matches. Some of the semi-final matches and final matches are being scheduled. in a more manual way than the way they were done for the rest of the tournament. So some of them didn't make their way into the document that says where upcoming matches are. So our apologies. You can follow the channel, or you can follow us on Twitter. And
Enemy
you can also
Yay,
just join the Discord, I guess.
on Twitter has been very vigilant about keeping us informed about the matches.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, you can actually post the link to that in chat so people don't miss. I guess it's pretty much just the finals after this that are left.
Yep. So the finals are on Saturday. This is the second to last match. So anyone that's kind of watching it right now, there's not a lot more 46 Row Master tournament action going on, but there is a lot of Mega Man coming up with the Mega Man Relay happening this weekend as well, and also the JRTA race, 46 Raw Master race. Oof, unfortunately, Prissy.
That screen's pretty laggy, but it's not a place I would have expected him to take a death.
This is one of the least costly deaths that you can have in Mega Man 3, losing maybe around 25 to 30 seconds. But making what was a comfortable lead a little bit closer, definitely not something Prissy wants to do throughout the other 3 games coming up.
Yeah, his aggressive routing and excellent execution has garnered him this lead. And usually, when you have that kind of route that goes for all the really tough stuff, you need to nail that stuff to get the lead, because you're probably not going to nail all of it. And so the times when you go for the really tricky stuff and don't quite get it, you start to lose some of that time that you saved, and that means you don't really have extra time saved to make up for the mistakes like deaths and stuff. So that kind of uncharacteristic, unforced, I kind of want to call it, error from Prissy is really going to count against him. He needs to start making sure that he prevents that stuff from happening, as well as maintaining his solid consistency.
So we see Becca going through the last screen here. So just a little bit of information about that last block is you can there's a very wide range that you can jump off that last block. It's just you can't be too far to the left, which is kind of what happened to Prissy. So it's just even some of the blocks, like the other blocks in that section, are definitely a lot more dangerous. But it's sometimes the ones that you're a little more complacent with can be the ones that get you.
Good point. So Prissy is the first to Mega Man 4. Both players going to be starting with Bright Man. Pharaoh Man is the faster option, but it's really tricky to actually make it come out as a time saver. It saves about 3 seconds, and there's a lot of ways to lose more than 3 seconds when you go with the Pharaoh first route. So even for like super top players, I would recommend going with Bright first, and it seems like both of these players agree.
Yeah, even Fasta, the world record holder in 46 Robot Masters, does Bright first. Even, I believe, Almond, who has second place in Mega Man 4, any percent, also does Bright first. So it's just, a very safe route. Really doesn't cost too much time, especially when it's, halfway through a 2-hour race, as opposed to being able to reset it in, Pharaoh Man on just other attempts.
Right, yeah, if you were doing Mega Man 4 attempts, you get to start with the hard stuff. If it doesn't go your way, quick reset. Not the case here. We actually saw quite a bit of Pharaoh Man early on in the tournament, Pharaoh first. And I think as players the matches started to kind of count for more, and players started to really think about it, they've seemed to have gravitated back towards what I think is the smarter choice of Bright first.
Yeah. So we kind of see on Prissy's screen the benefit of going Bright first is there would be enemies that kind of show up on the first screen of Pharaoh, but with Bright, with Flash Stopper, you get to basically not let those enemies spawn, and you can just kind of slide on the top of the quicksand, as Prissy does.
Another Brightman fight here from Becco. Kind of talked over Prissy's fight. As long as you make sure you hit him with one uncharged shot and then follow up with nothing but charged shots after that, you're going to have a pretty smooth fight, because that skips the HP values that trigger Brightman's Flash
16,
Stopper,
8, and
Time
4
Stopper.
health.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but he stops time, like a lot of Mega Man bosses. And that wastes time, obviously, so you want to avoid that. You want to skip those HP values, and then you've got a pretty safe fight on your hands. Just don't touch him. Mega Man 4 bosses in particular do a lot of damage, so just make sure you don't touch him and you're fine.
They deal 8 health per contact hit, with the exception of Pharaoh Man, actually. Pharaoh's charge shot that he does deals
6.
more damage. Yeah. I think his body shots are 4.
Mhm.
So, yeah, Pharaoh, the only exception in Mega Man 4 that deals less damage, but the rest of the bosses definitely don't get touched by them.
Pharaoh Man, you want to stay close. Prissy not doing a great job here of dealing with Pharaoh Man. He is staying close, but you obviously want to dodge his attacks. Staying close manipulates him to do these charge attacks rather than jumping all over the place. Unfortunately, he jumped at him a couple times, even though he was right next to him.
Yeah, so Prissy actually trying to get a magic pixel at the end here. So he realized he didn't get it. What you want to do is you want to slide there. That changes what pixel you're on. And so he did get the pixel at the end. So you can kind of see how he doesn't teleport. Or he teleports kind of right away instead of having to wait for the jumping animation, saving about a second per pixel.
We got Ringman coming up. Very tricky stage. Prissy grabbed the balloon in Pharaoh Man stage, so he's going to bust that out early on here. Balloon strats are pretty tricky, as you can see. You're kind of jumping off of seemingly nothing, basically, while the balloon is despawning. It's still there, available for you to use as a platform. And the fact that it disappears quickly is actually a plus, because balloons tend to lag the game quite a bit. And thankfully, balloons spawn and then go through the process of despawning when you place them inside places where they can't be, like inside walls and platforms and stuff. So it's possible to kind of stick it inside a wall, jump off of it while it's despawning, and have some very, very quick vertical ascension. It's going to be used in Ringman stage, like you saw, and then again in Skullman stage, most likely. As for the rest of Ringman stage, you'll want to take some hits to skip some mini bosses. There's 4 of them in this one stage alone, and that means taking damage from all of them is going to put you at really low health for the boss, and that's just a scary situation. Ringman is a very manipulatable boss. As long as you do the same thing, you know exactly what he's going to do. But even still, he moves really fast, he shoots really fast. And if you make any kind of little mistake, Ringman very likely to punish you, very likely to take the last of what little health you have left. As you can see, Prissy has about 4 bars here.
Which is not even enough for a ring hit.
Nope, so he needs to be on his game here. He's probably going to be going for double hits with Pharaoh Man's weapon. Basically, you can hit things with Pharaoh Man's shot as it's charging up above your head, and then still throw out a fully charged blast afterwards, like he just did. Perfect Ringman fight. Does not die. Maintains his lead over his opponent, who is about halfway through Ringman stage.
Yep, so Prissy doing a very nice job there. Kind of very scary fight, but very scripted fight as well, if you manage to do all the same inputs every time. So very nicely done by Prissy. Oh, Becco.
Whoa!
Very scary last platform there. But But and a good property about them is kind of if you're there while the platform wraps around back at you, you get what happened to Becco is the platform still there for you to kind of act upon and move on.
Let's see what kind of ringman fight he can come up with. He can get hit by a ring, but I'm sure he doesn't want to. Exactly what we saw from Prisiii. Same movement, same pattern, same kill. So he maintains this gap between the two players of about half a stage. Prisiii into this very scary Dust Crusher section in Dustman stage. He's got the rings out. Buster is a little safe. Oh, he missed the one block there, so he's going to have to wait a cycle here. Still fairly good.
Yeah, since he had to, wait a cycle there, the last block section in the Crusher room is a lot easier because then you don't have to do the crazy slide strats there. So. Very nice. We'll see how Becco does.
Almost got under that Stomper enemy before the boss fight. Health matters for the Dustman fight. If he does his vacuum attack, you want to be able to take a hit to cancel that attack.
Looks like Prisii's not getting a lot of.
Nope.
And
he gets a pretty glorious pattern from Dustman, and very solid execution as well.
We didn't talk about this, but middle kills kind of save like a second over corner kills, just because you had to wait for all the sprites to leave the screen from the boss explosion. So, very nice middle kill there by Prisiii, saving a good chunk of time there.
Question, is this losers finals? This was not a double elimination part of the tournament. All right, scary situation there for Becco, but he digs himself out of it.
Yeah, this is the third to fourth place match.
Right, yes. In double elimination, you naturally figure out who is in third and who is in fourth. So that is a death inside the wall for Prisiii. Basically, in Mega Man 4, and maybe Mega Man 3, but definitely Mega Man 4, instead of being zipped outside of walls when you get stuck inside them, the game just kills you. So what is he doing getting into a wall? Well, you just saw. If you have the invincibility frames from getting hit, then the game can't kill you, and then it will decide to finally zip you along. So going for a very minor time save there was Prisiii, and just a little bit too early, too far away from that enemy to take the hit and get the iframes he needs to survive. So the game just crushes him up against the ceiling. That's a little bit more time lost, but as we can see, still has a fair bit of a lead over Becco.
Yeah. Definitely unfortunate though, because he's been in the green pretty much this whole race, and unfortunately that's gonna put him into the red on his splits.
Yeah, once upon a time before Sparkman, Prisiii claimed that he was on a world record pace, and it was like 40, 50 seconds ahead of his PB, so I think the math adds up. I'm sure he's not happy about having such a fantastic run slip away from him, but he's got to hold on here because he still has a race to win. Becco Red is a very, very good player, and he needs to stay strong to maintain this lead.
Yeah, now Becco's maybe only was maybe 3/4 of a stage behind. Now only around half a stage behind here in Skullman. If Prisiii makes a few more mistakes like this, Becco could easily take the lead here.
That's right. There's an awful lot of Mega Man still left to play. You need to, like Mr. Cab always says, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You need to keep your consistency, your morale, your oomph, your chutzpah, I don't know what you want to call it, but whatever it is that keeps you going, you need it to keep you going for the whole thing. And we'll see if Prisii's got just that.
Probably put a pun in there somewhere as well.
Yeah, I'm
as
sure
Prisii's diving into this stage here head first.
He sure is. He sure is. All right, so sliding underwater. You can't jump out of your slide. Thankfully, players are sort of used to this change in mechanics because it's very similar to how things work in Mega Man 6. But it can still be pretty jarring for a lot of people. And it affects the way you go through this stage for sure. So being very careful there in the first half of the stage. Very mindful of his slides is Prisiii, heading up to this second whale enemy pretty soon here. Absolutely dusted that first one like it was nothing. Well, no, he didn't actually use the dust weapon. He used the buster. He's getting the 2 jumps here. That's what you want to see. If you're super pro godlike, you can get the 1 jump, but not only does your mashing have to be incredible, but you need to be able to sort of react or anticipate that you're going to have enough damage to do the 1 jump.
Ooh, actually, Becco here. Did he get
Yeah, almost
jump?
could have. Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Even if you get the kill, you still need to be able to react to
Super
holding
close.
the jump and keep going. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we got dive man fight here, busting out the skull barrier.
Prisiii jump up here, try to get a animation skip, which he unfortunately missed. Trying to be right in the middle of the screen. And besides the magic pixel, even the animation skip saves another second on top of that. So if he could have gotten it, it would have been pretty good time save. Meanwhile, we see Becco here, just going through the end of this stage, very close behind Prisiii.
We'll see what kind of dive man fight he can come up with. Prisiii played it a little safe, stepped away to block the missile with the barrier. It's possible to be a little more aggressive. Looks like he is too. It looked like he kind of did both there. Got a hit and blocked the missile with the same shield.
Oh, Becco, we see Becco there, jumping up and getting the animation skip. So very nicely done by Becco. Just saving just an ounce of time there.
Yeah, well, he's coming off the back of 2 gold splits in Dust and Skull, and saving even more time over his PB on dive. He's actually I've been tricked by this before. Sometimes players have like an average time or like a race
PB.
time, but this is
These are
his
PBs.
PB. So he is 1 minute ahead of his PB. He's got to be feeling really good about busting out something like that in a match like this. So he's probably riding pretty high. We'll see if he can keep going.
Yeah,
So
so
being
Prisii's
a
a minute ahead of his splits means around a minute behind Prisii's best. And right now Prisiii is about 20 seconds behind his PB splits. So we'll see, how Becco can do, especially going into Mega Man 5, because we should be seeing kind of a clinic on how to play Mega Man 5 from Becco for sure.
And Prisiii, I gotta say, has been looking a lot better in Mega Man 1 and 2 than he has been in 3 and 4. He's still looking pretty darn good, but not quite at that level that he was at earlier on. So with Becco fixing to kind of turn things up here at the end and Prisiii doing a little bit of the opposite, we could see this 40-second gap start to close in a hurry. But we'll have to wait and see. Drillman down for Prisiii. We'll see how it goes for Becco.
Yep. Drillman can first dive always happens, but you kind of just want a good pattern such that he doesn't dive again. Otherwise, you kind of lose 4 seconds through doing so. And Becco with a very nice pattern, getting all jumps and walking pattern, so not losing any time to any additional dives there.
That's going to help him out quite a bit in closing this gap. The dive missile doing its best to cancel out that time savings by taking its sweet time tracking down Drillman for that last hit.
Yeah, Becco with a gold split there, actually. So three of his Mega Man 4 splits have been gold so far. So very nice pace by him.
Prissy hesitating at that edge there just a little bit. Didn't like the way things were going, I don't know, but he backed up and cleared that gap. So he's, I don't know, maybe looking a little shaky, or maybe being able to react to something like that is actually a sign that he's really focused in on his game. I'm not really sure how to interpret it. Either way, he's looking pretty good now through the rest of Toadman's stage.
Yeah, with the spark and with the spark and skull death, sorry, it's definitely kind of probably him being a little bit more careful, making sure that he doesn't make any more deaths here. Just wanting to make sure he retains his lead over Becco.
Ooh, Becco got the drop from that one enemy right at the edge of the water section there in Toadman's stage. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's the one Chelny calls the murder drop. But able to react to that slight hesitation, picking up the drop and nailing the jump afterwards. So Toadman down for Prissy. Toadman's not going to be a problem for pretty much anyone. You just throw the drills at him, he doesn't really do anything. So he is on to Mega Man 5. He is starting with the stage that everyone starts with. There's, Mega Man's, even all the way at 1, 2, 3, and 4, there are reasons to start with some of the other stages. Everyone starts with Starman.
Yeah.
In Mega Man 5. You want the super arrow that you get from beating this stage. It's way too helpful in traversing stages vertically, horizontally. It shoots things. It's a 5-star chef. It does your taxes. It does it pretty much.
Your taxes kills everything. Lets you skip large portions of stages. It really kind of multi-purpose. The Swiss Army knife of weapons here.
Prissy's looking pretty good, dealing with the low gravity / underwater physics that the Mega Man games are known for. But you know who else is probably going to be looking pretty good here? It's Becco, world record holder, coming into Mega Man 5, looking to make up some ground. He's done a real good job of keeping close to Prissy. He hasn't let this gap between them be more than about a stage. And it's quite a bit narrower now, about half a stage. We'll see if he can start to close that gap here in his hometown, home field advantage here.
Yeah.
Starman fight pretty good.
Very intense game with a lot of precise arrow placements that you have to make. So we'll probably be seeing, Becco being very comfortable with that, while Prissy, hopefully doesn't have too much trouble with them. Probably very well practiced in the Mega Man 5 8 robots as well.
See what kind of Starman fight Becco can come up with here, using the fully charged shots to kind of shoot through Starman's shield.
Very nice fight. There's also a grab skip you can do. You can see Becored trying to do a 1-frame jump at the end there, but unfortunately kind of missing it. But that also kind of saves a second or so at the end of that stage as well.
Trissy's in Gravity Man stage, has the unique gravity reversal mechanic. Well, unique to Mega Man. It's pretty common in a lot of games. But the wonderful thing about it in this is that it actually changes your inputs. Your slide input is usually a down jump, but when you're on the ceiling, it is an up jump, and it's a pretty awkward thing to do. So successfully navigating Gravity Man stage while chaining those slides together on the ceiling is pretty difficult. Prissy making it look easy, heading into the Gravity Man fight. Very simple fight. He gets that one shot when he jumps across the ceiling. That's probably the one tricky thing about it. So Gravity Man is down for him.
Yeah, despite the creativeness in the stage, the boss fight is completely the same every time. Gravity Man kind of just goes to the same 3 spots every time and switches gravity, so it's very very easy to kind of just make sure you memorize the movements for it. So as Prissy enters Gyro Man stage here, we can see Becco already, just saving a bit of time, just being in the gravity fight, just shortly thereafter, shortly after Prissy. So doing a very good job so far in Mega Man 5.
Yep, it would be very hard to pinpoint exactly where or why he's gaining this time. Just sort of the thing that comes with all those hours of experience, shaving frames here and there, cutting corners. It adds up to a couple seconds pretty quick.
Yeah, even in Gyro, Prissy on the first screen just had a little bit of issue just grabbing a ladder, the last ladder there, in the first screen. So just small time stays, and like be seeing Becco just catch up, just frame by frame here in Mega Man 5.
Getting the super arrows mid-transition there is pretty tricky. Saves himself the one arrow he needs to jump up and grab the refill. Is Becco looking really good in Gyro Man stage here. I think they were technically on the same screen for a moment there. Oh no, I'm wrong.
No.
Got a bit excited. So Gyro Man fight, another one of those, you have enough ammo to just kill him. So don't mess up, don't shoot too early while he still has invincibility frames. And your full screen attack will get him down pretty quick, no problem. Which is good too, actually. He's pretty hard to track down while he's flying around in the clouds, if you don't have that weapon.
Now as Prissy goes into Crystal Man stage, so we might actually be seeing them on the same screen for
That's true.
coming up soon, because since the Crystal Warp, the screen is around 40 to 45 seconds. That's actually around the right time frame for both of these guys to be on the same screen.
So Prissy is taking some damage here.
Intentionally.
Switches to the super arrow. He's going to plant all 3 while standing firmly on whatever, either the ground or one of the arrows you just placed. And doing that puts the arrow at a perfect height such that this guy on the right here, the bottom half of him spawns, but the floaty ball part of him on top does not. It tries to spawn, but Mega Man's death sprites have filled up all the memory in the game, so it sticks that those values in other places in memory where they don't quite belong. The end result is that it thinks Mega Man is really, really, really far into the stage. I think he's actually way past the boss fight.
Yes.
And also his respawn timer that normally is pretty fast gets set to like 42 seconds or something like that. So that's why we're stuck here waiting. That's why these guys are now on the same screen.
Ever so briefly on the same screen.
At the end of it, you do end up in the boss corridor, a little bit faster than doing the stage. Oh, I love this wonderful...
Becco. Little dance. And the last time you played this dance too, it was basically just the perfect timing.
I think it was
he found it online somewhere. I remember someone asking him, and he found it online, and it just happened to be the perfect timing.
I was gonna talk about how if you do the Crystal Man stage perfectly, it still saves a certain amount of time if you do the warp, but just fascinated by Mega Man's butt. So he has faded away, unfortunately. We're back to the game. Crystal Man fight, pretty straightforward. Gyro Man's weapon, a little unreliable, so you want to make sure that you're shooting it as close to Crystal Man as you can, so it doesn't have to do much work to track him down. Prisiii a little bit ahead still. He is Napalm Man stage.
Yeah, about half a stage ahead here is Prisiii. So not holding as much of a lead as he was before, but still holding that lead.
Just enough super arrow ammo to get this one. I think it's high enough. Yep.
So Prisiii switching to gravity here. There is a strategy that I'm not sure if Becco does it, but since he's a world record holder, he might. A little bit of a time saver is switching to crystal directly and going through that the screen with the stomper in it. Because it's a little bit faster if you can place your shots correctly. So we'll see if Becco does it, because that can save him a second or two over menuing.
Prisiii is getting these napalm shots from Napalm Man. I think the ideal fight is to manipulate it such that he doesn't shoot them. Gets 4 of them there. Does a good job of keeping the boss in iframes, but maybe losing some time to lag overall. And it looks like we're going to see gravity here from Becco.
And gravity, a very race safe strategy, so not surprised to see him make sure that he doesn't take a death anymore. Prisiii taking a couple of hits here at the beginning of Stone Man stage, trying to shoot them so that he was gonna be able to slide under them, but unfortunately getting a little bit of jumping by the mini Mets made him kind of take a hit, lose a little bit of time there.
And while that's happening, Becco gets a absolutely flawless Napalm Man fight. So once more, the gap closes just a little bit. Nice turnaround damage boost from Prisiii. Gets the big refill. Not sure if that's going to change things.
Yep, you need 3 arrows here, and Prisiii having enough arrows to make sure that he can get up and over all these enemies on this screen here.
It's the mark of a really, really experienced player that you're able to adapt to things like a lucky weapon drop and able to actually make use of it without losing too much time hesitating or whatever.
The most impactful weapon drop in this game is in Charge Man in the chicken room. If you can manage to get a weapon drop at the end of that room, you can save a few seconds in the next room if you can place an arrow at just the precise spot. So we'll see if anyone of these players get lucky in Charge Man. Maybe not. Luckily, Stone Man, very simple fight. He really doesn't do anything but jump, so pretty much just shoot him with napalm until he dies, and Prisiii does just that.
Probably not going to gain or lose much time there. Becca's already got the napalm out.
Yep. Becca doing a very nice job. So, yeah, we're talking about arrow later on in the stage. So arrow placement early on in the stage as well is very important. Because Prisiii wants to make sure he has enough arrow for this second top screen here. So that he can get through it. Placing it just high enough that he can make it across the screen, and Prisiii actually dedicated his chicken ram So he dedicates it to Becco, his competitor, as he goes into the
Nice
chicken
guy.
room here.
Chicken's actually pretty tricky for technical room. The chickens themselves are tricky because they take 3 hits, but they have invincibility frames. So unlike most Mega Man games, you can't just mash them down real quick. You need to space out your shots just so to make sure you kill them without stopping.
And as Becco enters this room, he dedicates his room to Prissy. So, both these guys being very nice to each other, dedicating their rooms to one another.
That's what you like to see.
Good sportsmanship.
Unless you came here for blood, then maybe you're not so happy. But most of us are happy about this.
Ooh,
cordial
Becco
sportsmanship.
getting a nice small ammo drop here.
Hey,
So this is what we're talking about. This is a 2-pixel window. He can place this arrow to skip the screen. So we'll see if he gets it.
I
It
think
has
that
to
looks
go
good.
under projectiles. Yeah, really nicely
Hey.
done. This is a backup strat because most times you don't get that ammo refill. So very nicely done by Becco. Now that dedication sure came in handy, getting some Prissy luck there. From dedicating his room to Prissy. A nice small ammo drop, saving a fair chunk of time in Charge Man.
pausing a lot in this Charge Man fight to get these Power Stone rocks off the screen. It's a very annoying weapon to use. Very hard to hit the boss more than once with it. And I'm being disconnected from some of these chat rooms, so hopefully everything is okay otherwise.
Everything's good on mine, it looks like.
All right, so yeah, it's possible to avoid pausing to clear those stones by moving in just such a way, manipulating the boss in just such a way, and timing your shots correctly that they either hit the boss or go away or go off screen or something, and you don't have to pause so much. Ooh, Prissy gets that bubble skip there.
And boat skip, it looks like. He set up his 3 arrows very nicely.
So he's still looking really strong, despite being so late into the race, coming up on the end of Mega Man 5. Like we predicted, I think Becco's made up some ground, but there's still quite a bit of space here.
Still a whole 8 Robot Masters after this, so
Yeah.
still anyone's game, but it is Prissy's to lose here in this position. So, as long as he doesn't have any costly deaths. But it looks like Becco ran out of arrow or something, opting to take the boat here. He might have missed an arrow or didn't have enough arrow or something, so unfortunately, not getting boat skip will lose, I think, 2 or 3 seconds. I think someone mentioned before. So we'll see. We'll see now that they're both kind of in the water section here of Wave Man stage. Becco having to do it with the boat. Unfortunately, we see Prissy just gaining a little bit more time over Becco with this boat mishap. We'll see how Prissy's fight goes. Wave Man fight, pretty straightforward, but you do take a lot of damage in it, so definitely something to be wary about if you have low health going into the fight.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good on health, though, so even with a bad boss fight, he probably would have been okay. And he had a pretty good boss fight. So he is done with Mega Man 5. Moving on to the final game. Mega Man 6 going to be starting with Windman. Like Mega Man 5, there's very little variance in routes here. Some people do go with Flame Man first. But the wide consensus has been to go with the winds first, starting off with a ladder jump there. Prissy not afraid to pull out everything, even this far into the race.
Yeah, the old strats were flame first, but now pretty much anyone that's kind of learned Mega Man 6 recently goes for Windman, because you really don't. Windman is a very simple buster stage and fight, so not really any advantage you get with having Centaur in it. You don't use Flame in it, so you might as well do it first, so that you get the weakness for Flame Man and mitigate the Flame Man RNG that he has in that boss fight. Becco in his own chat saying shame boat Mega Man 5. So yeah, unfortunately having a little bit of shame there, but on to Mega Man 6, doing a little bit better on the third screen than Prissy did. He kind of had a little bit of a hiccup there, but Becco making it through just fine.
I'm not sure how close he is paying attention to his race with regards to Prissy and where they're at relative to each other. But if he is, then he's got to be thinking he missed a bit of a chance to make up some more ground in Mega Man 5. So hopefully he's able to shake off any of that stuff, finish off with his best Mega Man 6. Prissy missing a couple shots here. It's going to come out okay, though. Windman, pretty weird fight. You want to be... I mean, you slide away from him just to keep your distance from him, but every time you slide, you shave a frame off of your buster charge time. So, if possible, you want to initiate as many slides as possible.
Yeah, but you still want to stay close, such that his fans don't hit you, because they kind of arc, kind of like above and below Mega Man. So if you're just right in that sweet spot in the middle, you're still close to him, and you avoid the hits. So kind of see that's kind of what Becco did there. Doing a very good job.
So he gets lucky, doesn't get shot by that turret. It's pretty much random what he wants to do.
Yep.
He gets past, I've forgotten the name. What's
Roland.
the name of it? Roland. How can I forget?
Roland is the second cloud enemy in that room, kind of one on the highest pedestal. You usually jump over him, but sometimes he can, be a troll and shoot you. But luckily, Roland being nice to Prissy there, not shooting him, making sure he can just go on with his stage unhindered.
We'll see what some of these flame-throwing guys have to say about that.
Yeah. These tags flamethrowers are random.
Yeah, and because they shoot where Mega Man is, it means it's pretty hard to react.
Prissy fell down there. So what you can do, Strat, if you do fall down there, you can slide on the fire, but you need to make sure you jump after your first slide, so that you can jump out. But Prissy wanted to play it super safe, jumps back on the safe platform, make sure he doesn't die there. Good realization by him. Probably watching Becco and making sure that he just keeps his lead over Becco here.
Becco sliding through the second section of Flame Man stage himself. These guys are still quite close, but there's only 6 robot masters left. It's going to be really hard to make up this time just through sheer, better execution than your opponent. It's looking more and more like Prissy's going to have to make a mistake for something.
Another detriment is Mega Man 6 deaths are very fast, so even if Prissy does die, he's probably going to still maintain his lead, unless it's an unusual death in a spot that people don't normally die in.
Even worse case scenario for Becco. So, what can you do, though? You just play your best. You keep at it.
Yeah, Becco's still probably not disappointed with himself on PB pace.
Well, yeah, it's hard to be a minute ahead of your personal best and be disappointed. We said play his best, and he literally is playing his best. So we'll see if his best is good enough. Prisiii is into Blizzard main stage here. He's looking to get in the kitchen with some butter. I think he's a little bit too far behind.
Could not quite get that fourth slide in. But
he opened up the fridge and could only find margarine.
Still makes it through the stage relatively fast, keeping his lead. Hopefully keeping his composure as well as he, really wants that third place finish. Thinks about it, but then thinks about the 10 out of 11 times that he missed it in his when he was
right. That's probably why he did it, just to really hammer home, like, this is why you don't do it.
Yeah, 50% of the time you get the pixel, but then you kind of have to act on it as well. Make sure you slide off of it into the boss corridor. Not something that either of these players would want to go for right now.
Good boss fight from Prisiii. Only got 2 rolls, I think, from Blizzard Man. I think that's
2 rolls is the average.
Okay, just average. But doing a really good job executing on keeping him in iframes.
Yeah, 0 or 1 rolls, you're very happy with. 2 rolls, kind of average. 4 is when you start crying. So Plant Man stage is going to be a very scary stage.
Yes, it is. It's
the last
not
screen.
Too bad early on. It's mostly that last screen. Probably the most harrowing screen in the 46 Robot Masters. There's some really bad screens. Gemini Man stage has some bad screens, but I think this might be the worst. So we'll
it's kind of what you make out of it. Like if you decide not to go for plant forms, it becomes relatively easy, but that requires an extra menu to switch to Buster, which is a couple seconds in and of itself, and then you also waste the time of having to open up the platforms. So kind of a trade-off between being safe and saving that handful of seconds there.
Plus, there's a lot of spots where you can just kind of wait a little bit, just bounce around on the springs until the enemies kind of line up in a way that you need them to.
Yep. Prisiii actually out of flame here, so we probably won't even see him do plant forms if he, even if he does normally do them. As I say that, Prisiii opening up the first plant form, that's the only plant form that you need to jump twice on. All the other ones you only need to jump once on. So
he figures that's enough.
It's kind of a mishmash of both strategies. It's kind of risky, but this is definitely the safest of the risky that you can be by opening up the first plant form there.
Well, whatever he did, it worked for him. He is through that screen. He is into the boss fight.
Yep. He's going for manipulation here.
Yeah, he's got the Blizzardman weapons out. He takes the hit and ends up pretty much dead center inside Plantman's hitbox. Ooh, almost getting
only gets the 5
hits.
hit. Yeah. You can get 6 hits in. Very, very difficult to do.
He'll take the 5 hit.
Here we see Becco actually going to be opening up all the plant forms. Wanting to make sure that he does not fall off of anything there in that section.
Also pausing for a fish at one point. And while doing that, also taking the opportunity to jump up and grab the health refills that are inside the plants in the background, because those can be a little jarring when you pick one up mid-jump. So if you're going to wait anyway, might as well jump up and grab it, get it out of your way. We'll see what kind of Plant Man fight he can come up with.
Yeah, so if Plant Man jumps to the right, you can get the manipulation by just sliding forward. So that's kind of the jump that Plant Man gave both players. So very nicely done by Becco. Also only getting the 5 hit, but that just means he doesn't lose any turn to Prisiii then. So very nice.
Normally you'd be pretty happy with that, but more and more it's looking like he's going to need to actually gain time on Prisiii if he wants to come up with the win here.
Yeah, Prisiii doing a ladder jump there.
Those are not free at all. Those are. I can't believe he just keeps doing it. Like, I don't know what's more unbelievable, that he keeps doing it or that
He
he
actually
keeps
paused
getting
on
it.
that first ladder a little bit to try a ladder jump again. So, you know, he's willing to lose a second, you know, there to just, you know, try a ladder jump again a couple times. But, you know, that second could matter if he accidentally takes a death in, you know, this stage, or maybe Nightman stage is the next stage that has potential to die in.
Or it could just be like a matter of like flow or mojo or something, right? Like going for this tricky thing and getting it, like it can have a sort of positive mental effect.
Oh, for sure.
So he's also the kind of player he's a very I want to say emotional player. It's Prisiii. Wears his heart on his sleeve. So I'm not surprised if he had some sort of thing in mind to sort of get himself pumped up.
Yeah. Here we see Prisiii finishing up this fight without any major issues, as Becco still about a half stage behind. 35-40 seconds maybe. So still, this is pretty unfortunate. You know, getting pretty close. Prisiii just needs to make probably 2 major mistakes now for Becco to catch up here.
Three Robot Masters left between Prisiii and third place in this tournament. First up of those 3 is going to be Yamato Man. Pretty short stage. Some time to be saved or lost on the boss fight. Especially if you mess up and get there with less health than you want. It's really easy to take hits during that fight.
Yep, it's Prisiii now going through Yamato stage. This is kind of where we see a use of the Rush Jet. Kind of the only use we see of Rush in these 8 Robot Masters is right here. But switching to Jet, even though you can't slide, this is still the faster route in Yamato Man stage. This is actually the alternate route. Usually you would go down instead of up on this stage, but it just, you know, is a few seconds faster, a couple less screens that you have to traverse through, and a mini-boss that you don't have to fight, so Prisiii doing a very good job kind of making it through the end part of this stage, as Becco going through the beginning now.
He's got the tomahawks out. He's looking great on health. We'll see what he can do to keep the bouncy Yamato Man in iframes. Sure enough, he opens the fight, jumping right up to the ceiling.
Besides missing his first few hits, hitting him in iframes, the end of the fight, very solid by Prisiii.
Still really close, still on amazing pace compared to his PB, is Becco Red. But he is running out of time to catch Prisiii, who is going into Nightman stage, the 47th Robot Master.
Yep, this is pretty much the one stage that Prisiii can lose time in. There is a spike ceiling that could potentially kill you. Normally it does not, but you know, those fringe situations where it does. Prisiii getting a very nice short jump here, menuing. So the short jump's the hardest part, and he got it. So you know, making it through just fine. And that actually might just spell the end for Becco's chances in this 3rd, 4th place match.
Yeah, it's definitely too soon to call it, but it's the chances are getting real slim now. There's still a couple of spiked floors. There's a couple of pits in Centaur Man stage, especially if you're going for things like the Miracle Jump or whatever. But I think if Prisiii were to play it safe from here on out, he'd kind of have it in the bag.
Yeah. But even still, like even taking one death might not be enough. Prisiii would have to die in like the water section before the checkpoint room in Centaur Man for to give Beko a chance. It looks like.
Mad nerds are no problem. That's one spot you need to look out for in Nightman stage.
Prisiii with a very clean end of the stage here as he goes into the boss corridor. We'll see what kind of pattern Nightman gives him. Nightman known for jumping up and down a lot. Really a pattern that you don't want because I don't know, just want him to stay on the ground so that you can hit him basically right as he leaves iframes.
Yeah, the Yamato Spear is a very horizontal weapon. If he goes up high, there's not a lot you can do about it.
Getting a few jumps there, but overall, decent fight. And on to the last stage. Beko having a little bit of trouble in the Mad Nerds room here, unfortunately.
They're so mad.
The interesting thing about Yamato Spear is it shoots. When it shoots, it alternates between like high and low shots, so, like a little bit above, where he shoots and a little bit below. Mad Nerd Room, you kind of have to have it on the proper cycle to make it through Mad Nerd Room without getting hit. But unfortunately, Beko having a little bit of trouble there.
Prisiii missing the turnaround damage boost, and then opts to do another turnaround damage boost over that other little gap, rather than just going for the miracle jump, which is definitely the smart thing to do in this situation.
Yeah. And as he goes through this spiky room, this is kind of the last chance that that Beko has in this race as if Prisiii dies, but unfortunately Prisiii makes it and gets into the checkpoint room. No real dangers for the rest of the stage, and even if he dies in the checkpoint room, he'll just get brought back there. So unfortunately, this looks like it's gonna be it for Beko.
Yeah, we've seen some weird stuff happen, so we're not going to call it just yet. But
there is the Beef
right.
Watson pit,
right? So we'll see. But I think if there was a trophy somewhere, they would start carving on the third place name.
Yeah.
Right about now.
Yeah, he made it past the Beef Watson pit, so really this squid is a non-issue. And that's kind of everything else about this. He could have even taken the alternate route if he wanted to and still won. But opting to go for the normal route.
He's actually only 6 seconds off his PB, so
yeah.
We'll see if get some kind of god pattern from Centaur and manages to tie it. I don't know. He needs to finish it in about 7 seconds, so I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, no, even with bad pattern, he'll still be able to win here. So he gets the kill. Let's see. Racebot with a time of 1:42.46. On his splits, he's got a time of 1:42.43, so very solid time.
Only 6 seconds off of his PB, which is the third best time in the world. So Prisiii coming out real strong here. He finishes in third place in the tournament with a bang. And coming up right behind him, still on massive personal PB, well, PB and personal, it's the same. His massive PB pace, coming up into the Centaur fight, it's Beko Red. We'll see what Centaur decides to give him, but he is for sure going to be coming away with a huge improvement to his best time. Opens up with the teleport right away, of course.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate there. Besides that teleport, Beko ending his splits at a 1:43.45, a minute ahead of his old PB. So very nice ending his tournament with a PB, ending the race officially with a 1:43.47. So very strong showing by both players. You know, there's a reason why these guys are third and fourth place.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, hope you guys enjoyed this not quite finale to the Mega Man 46 Robot Masters Tournament. We know who's in third. We know who's in fourth. Congrats to both Prisiii and Becco. There's a lot of really good Mega Man players out there, and these guys have come out on top of most of them. But there's 2 more out there.
2 more. The USA versus Japan.
That's right.
Fast at CC versus Nero. This Saturday.
So,
Enemy here.
those guys, we need to figure out which of them is the most Mega Man-inist robot.
Who is the Mega
master-inist.
Man? Who is
Yes. Who is so when does that happen? When is the grand finals to the 46 Robot Masters tournament gonna happen? Do you know?
Enemy.
Enemy?
Oh,
All right, it's on
what
screen.
is it? I can't see it. Oh,
The Games
Hot
Done
Fix.
Quick channel. What the guys what put on the awesome Games Done Quick? Those
we have
guys.
a hot fix coming in. It's gonna be
Yeah.
hot.
The Games Done Quick. They do this thing called the Hot Fix, where they showcase speedrun stuff on their channel, the big channel where the big speedrun thing happens twice a year. And that's where you can go to see the finals of this tournament. It's going to be a good one. Fast at CC versus Nero. Number 1 and number 2 on the leaderboards. Number 1 and number 2
In our hearts.
in our hearts. Number 1 and number 2 in the tournament, though not necessarily in that order. That remains to be seen. So please go check that out. 11 p.m. Games Done Quick is the name of the channel. That's not it for tonight on the Speed Gaming channel. That is it for Mega Man here for a little bit. Just the finals left. We already covered that. But other things going on this channel. But first, I want to say thanks to Richard and Enemy for the restream and the commentary and stuff.
Thank you for the commentary.
That's right. I've been Mythical 9. Thank you to me for doing the commentary. Up next, we have Donkey Kong Country 2. That dank. It's coming up. 3 matches back-to-back. 7:30, 8:30, 9:30. This has been a pretty cool tournament so far. Donkey Kong Country is a very well-respected part of speedrunning. Very competitive, has attracted a fair number of entrants in this tournament. It's going to be good. It's going to be coming up in about 25 minutes. That's right in that zone where I'm not sure. Channel's probably going to go down. We're probably going to go down, but we will be back very soon. 7:30. That's in 25 minutes with Donkey Kong Country 2. 3 matches back to back. I can tell you who's going to be in it. First up, it's going to be Jake F 1891 versus Niaki. After that, it's going to be The Sabin versus El Megas. And after that, it's Puwexel versus Kolthor the Barbarian. I recognize some of these names, but not as Donkey Kong Country runners. I recognize them as, RPG runners. El Megas and Puwexel in particular, very good at some of those Final Fantasy games. So if you want to see how they do in a good old-fashioned platformer, then you want to check out those races later today.
Stay tuned.
That's right.
Grab bite to eat, but come back. 25
minutes. So go it's about dinner time in most places. So go do that and then come back and we'll see you then.